Hey friends, welcome to Sassy AF TV Season 2, Episode 10, Living the 4 Pillars of Health. You are in for a special treat this week. I had the awesome opportunity to chat with Bree Argetsinger, better known as the Betty Rocker. Bree is an internationally known health and fitness coach, innovative entrepreneur, and motivator of self-growth. Nearly 3 million people have taken her 30-day Make Fat Cry challenge, and hundreds of thousands have done her workout and nutrition programs. If you don't already know how much of a rock star Bree is, you will learn how she teaches people how to live their healthiest life by really focusing on what matters most. You will hear her story of how she went from an unhealthy body image obsession, which led to adrenal fatigue, to uncovering her superpower of teaching others to change their lifestyle habits in ways that are simple, sustainable, and fun. Bree is a strong proponent of committing to yourself always, living a life of all or something, and realizing that our flaws make us special. #Flawsome. I love Bree's commitment to her own health, teaching others, and her values that we are all humans doing the best we can. As she says, I like to see what can I do today, and I want to do something. All or something, not all or nothing. Let's dive into this week's episode. Welcome back to another episode of Sassy AF TV. I'm Hallie and I am so excited to bring our special guest with us today, Bree Argetsinger, better known as the Betty Rocker. Bree, welcome to our show. I'm so happy to have you.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
It's so great. I was just saying before we started hitting record that I discovered you through Dr. Beth Wesky, who I'm a super fan of. She's amazing. The two of us connected a few months ago. We worked on an online summit together. And the amount of knowledge that, when I first heard you speak with Beth, the amount of knowledge that the two of you were dropping, I was driving and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go back and listen to this again and take all these notes because it's so good. So I'm just thrilled that you came on the show and you can share all your knowledge and fun and sassiness with our audience too. So thank you for being here.
Yay. It's such a pleasure to connect with you. And I love Beth. What a phenomenal doctor and powerhouse she is. And
oh my gosh.
I'm so stoked that you found me through her. Thank you.
Yeah. Amazing. Women collaborating, women connecting. It's beautiful. That's what it's all about.
100%.
Awesome. Well, tell us your story. I've heard it, but I want you to share. And I love how you have really taken on this complete health lifestyle, this healthy lifestyle that you really embody. And you talk so much truth about, it wasn't always the way that it was for yourself and how you've really incorporated it and made it your own. And you teach other women to get into that healthy space. So talk to us about your story and tell us how you became the Betty Rocker.
Well, thank you for that lovely intro for me to speak about it from, I grew up like so many of us. I'm 43 at the time of this interview recording. And I grew up, I was born in the 70s and I grew up in that time in the 80s when, we were as women and still are, our bodies were the commodity, that's what we were selling products. That's what we, so I was valued a lot for how I looked or how I performed in other ways, like my grades, how smart I was or how pretty I was. Basically, that's how I got praised. So I was a little bit of an ugly duckling. So I worked really hard in school. And I graduated third in my graduating class. Ooh,
nice.
Me went to Tufts on a full academic scholarship, which I really didn't want to go to school at the time. I wanted to travel. I was actually really, really interested in practices of indigenous people in different countries. So I decided that since I'm the oldest in my family, so I was like, okay, and I have this amazing opportunity to go to college this way. I'm going to use this opportunity to see what I can learn about food and nutrition and the way that people practice living. So I was an anthropology major, basically. And that was sort of like where I got my start really delving into how people practiced eating correctly via special practices of farming and living with the land. And I was just really interested and intrigued in that and had grown up, luckily, having the opportunity to go to a lot of Iroquois reservation. So I'm from upstate New York and our dad took us to he had some friends on the reservations and, we had that exposure. So very early on, I just got a really special education, about how to live with the land and had a deep respect for the true history of this country. And anyway, flash forward, college, 20s, despite all of the things that we know are correct for us, it was impossible for me to escape the crushing pressure of wanting to fit in, of wanting to be liked, and of considering that my value and my worthiness really did come from my appearance. So I kind of like, despite feeling like I really had the education and the knowledge about how to take care of myself, I didn't do the right things. I was eating salads. I really took on like a lot of the pressure from advertising. It's just so insidious. It's so underlying. We can't almost escape the imagery. And back in my days, our Instagram was magazines, right? Like fitness magazines. I mean, porn, Playboy, like that was around everywhere. And like, those were the images that you would see. And that's what you measured yourself against.
What about Cosmopolitan? I mean, you look at the women in that magazine too, 100%. Right?
Yep. I remember Cosmo. Think of any magazine where it's all about like how we look, and you're not on the cover of a magazine unless you looked a certain way. You weren't on a billboard advertising jeans unless you looked a certain way, or even a fragrance, which had nothing to do with how your body looked. Everything was about our looks. And so I got really caught up in exercising way too much. I got caught up in not eating enough. I would skip meals, and I really burned myself out. I burned out my adrenals. I made myself extremely sick. And not just sick from my physical practices, but sick mentally, like talking to myself in this really negative way, just like, I'm not good enough. I don't look good enough. I hate my face. I hate my butt. I hate my stomach, I look back at pictures of myself at that age and I'm like, God, you were so beautiful. How could you like not see that about yourself? How could you be so hard on yourself? And I'm like, because, that's all I knew how to be. And, I got a real wake up call in my early 30s from this amazing naturopath who I saw, who said, you've got adrenal burnout. Like it's going to take you a while to come back from this. And you got to really take this seriously. Because I had, I couldn't train. I couldn't sleep. I was just exhausted in general. And that's when I started to kind of go back to my roots of what I really knew about nutrition and started applying it to myself. And by then I already was like, I had this, I'd done a lot of studying of kinesiology, of biology. I had been a structural integrationist for many years, working with athletes and motorcycle racers. And so I had a lot of knowledge about the physical form, both nutritionally and fitness wise. And I started to put that into practice for myself and started writing a blog, sharing what I was doing and what I knew, and adopted Instagram back when it first came out and was sharing stuff there. And about a year into the blog, I got this email from the healthy eating specialist at Whole Foods Market in Denver. And she was like, hey, Betty Rocker, every month we feature a team member in the store. And this month we're featuring this woman, Barb, who lost 50 pounds over the past year. And when we interviewed her to ask her what she attributed her great success to, she said, Betty Rocker, reading her blog, talking to her. She shops in the store. I ask her questions. She has helped me so much. And everything that she's told me is on her website, and I love her. And this is why. And I remember this lady because I would go in the store and, I'd have like lots of vegetables and stuff in my cart. And I was, and she would look at my cart and I remember her saying something very telling to me. She would say, you're so tiny and you eat so much food. I'm so big and I hardly eat anything. What is wrong? And so I had the opportunity to kind of explain, like your body is starving and it's, like you're feeding it sugar and you're feeding it sodium and you're eating processed foods that aren't actually nourishing you. And as a result, you're bloated and your body is just, you're continuously adding fat and you're losing muscle. And, there are like a lot of those types of conversations that we had where I just explained to her how it worked and I would put that on my blog. So I started teaching cooking classes. They were standing room only. People loved hearing about like the benefits of the food. Just yesterday, I found this Instagram account called Influencers in the Wild. And it's this hilarious Instagram account where someone makes a video of an Instagrammer, like making a video somewhere public that's kind of obnoxious.
Okay.
And there was a video. Yeah, it's so good. And there's this one video I saw that reminded me of back in like 2011. 2012, like early days, me in Whole Foods with, it wasn't even an iPhone yet. I was using a flip cam, I think. And like I would like pick up walnuts and I would like talk about the benefits of what a walnut
That's
did
awesome.
for your body, or like a sweet potato, or like whatever it was. But that was like me early days. You know, I didn't consider myself an influencer. I still actually don't, because we don't get paid to promote products. We sell products that I've created that I think are of value to people. But I, of course, no, it's not like that's wrong. It's just, I don't necessarily associate myself with that word, but that is a thing these days. And that is like, you know, you could say that that was what I was doing in the store in those early days. I was trying to find the truth out about what foods were good for our bodies, what was nourishing for us. And I wanted to share it. I genuinely wanted to share it because it had really helped me heal myself. And I really wanted to help other people like Barb, you know, who felt stuck. And here she is working in a health food store, and she's up so close to all this health food and health knowledge and still isn't feeling healthy. And that was kind of a real epiphany for me. And teaching those cooking classes gave me the chance to have, you know, I feel like I developed a lot of confidence to write my first program, the Body Fuel System, which still sells like crazy today. It's our signature nutrition program. It's been upgraded many times. It's a great thing about digital programs. You can do that. And yeah, kind of the rest is history. So I just kept on going.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You know, so much of what you said is like resonating with me, especially this, you know, this idea about, you know, how much do we eat? How do we push ourselves? How much do we need to push, et cetera? And like this, you know, this adrenal burnout situation, right? And I find that, you know, with myself, and the reason that I started my business and the reason that I want to help women is because I feel like we're constantly in demand. We're constantly on the go. We constantly have all this pressure on ourselves, right? And so it's really easy for us to go, you know, all in 200%. I know that's not really a thing, right? And then we just hit a wall, right? And it's not sustainable. And so I want to help women get to that place where I call it simple, sustainable, and fun. Because if it's not simple, if it's not sustainable, and it's not fun, you're not going to do it. But I think that that's a really important message. And I know that you have a lot of talk around this all or something. Can you talk a little bit about that and about your 4 pillars? Because I think those two concepts go so well together, and they're so integral to our overall healthy lifestyle.
I just love what you said about the simple, sustainable, and fun. I think that's a great like triad for success. And that's really a lot of why I felt like, you know, because I myself was all or nothing all the time. And I didn't feel very good, you know, and eventually, you know, even during the time when I was like trying desperately to like look good, I never felt very good inside. And now my body fat fluctuates up and down throughout the year, you know, like, and sometimes that's intentional because I'm just like, hey, I need to do like light training because I'm in the middle of moving across the country, or, hey, I'm just like, I've got a really busy time and I'm just going to like, not like, I just want to do something different with my life, or I'm going on a trip and then just like allowing myself, like, I don't have this pressure anymore that I have to be like a certain body fat percentage or that my body is supposed to look a certain way all the time. Instead, I just want to love my body all the time because of all the things that it can do for me and how it supports me. And instead of feeling like I'm a failure because I haven't done it all, I like to see what can I do today? And I want to do something. Like there's lots of workouts that I have, like I'll write myself a workout program, right? And it might have 3 different circuits in it. And if I have a day where I'm really busy and I have time to do 1 or 2 of those circuits and not all 3, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to just do nothing. I'm going to do something that I can do. And that's part of how I stay the sustainable piece with which you were talking about. And I think that, you know, one of the reasons I created that Make Fat Cry challenge and why I started in the beginning creating challenges for my Instagram fans was because I noticed that when I had a 15-minute window in a very busy day and I moved and I did a workout, it impacted my mood. It made a difference to my physique. Like I saw changes. And sometimes I would start out with telling myself, I'm going to just do 15 minutes because I wasn't feeling very motivated and I wanted to do more. So I did. And some days I did 15 minutes and that's all I did. And that was perfect because I did something.
Right.
You know, and we're all starting in different places. And if you could do 15 minutes of movement a day, I mean, you're awesome. That's amazing. Like there's just this idea we have kind of maybe from, I don't know where it's from, that we're supposed to be doing like 30 minutes to an hour of cardio. We're
and killing ourselves.
Killing ourselves. Yep. And because it literally is killing ourselves. Exercise is a form of stress on your body. It's stress. Mm-hmm. It's stress on your joints. It's stress on your cardiovascular system. I mean, it's systemic stress. It's inflammation in the body and the system. And it's when you're resting, when you stop, that your body repairs itself, that your tissue repairs itself. When you're doing a bicep curl, you are breaking down your muscle. You are not building it up. It's when you rest after you've done the workout that your muscle gets stronger and bigger because it goes through the repair process. But if you're never taking that rest time, that's another form of all or nothing, right? Like if you're just like, that was me. And it sounds like you too. Like we pushed ourselves too hard. We just pushed ourselves too hard. And then because our body could never fully recover, eventually you hit a wall and you burn out. But it's when you have that all or something approach where you do something and then you also understand the balance that it actually, you can enjoy life, because you also mentioned fun in your simple, sustainable, and fun triad. So I think that all or something and simple, sustainable, and fun are really two ways of saying something very similar, of approaches of how we can really make movement or any healthy lifestyle practice a part of our lives in a good way that's healthy for us and healthy for our mind. And you asked me about the 4 pillars of health also. And the way that I see it is in order is sleep, nutrition, stress management, and exercise. And it's funny because a lot of us put exercise in the number 1 spot. Right. And it's not that all 4 aren't important, because if you imagine your healthy physique is sitting on this chair with 4 pillars, you need all 4 of them to balance. But I do give them an order. And I think that without good sleep, when we sleep, when we're having deep rest, that's when our human growth hormone rises, which helps us completely heal and restores our body. It's when our body fat actually metabolizes, our muscle tissue heals. We need to get a certain amount of quality sleep every night in order for all of these metabolic processes to actually happen. And so if you are exercising all the time and not getting quality sleep, your exercise isn't going to really be paying off. If you're, even if you're eating like a little crappy, you're still going to have a better result from your workouts if you're getting good sleep, right? Mm-hmm. So they all have to kind of be thought of. And I think the biggest one that a lot of us don't talk about, not that it's the most, it's also really important, is the stress management piece. And that was the 100%. One where I was like talking to myself all negative all the time, like that negative, the stress we give ourselves is one of the worst stresses there is.
Absolutely. Right? We're mean to ourselves.
We're so mean to ourselves. Yeah. Yeah. It's bad. And that is something that I think is an opportunity. And if you are listening and you're recognizing like, oh my gosh, I told myself like 6 times today that I'm fat. This is, for you. So sorry about that. That's my timer. It's my timer telling me to stretch, actually, because I use my phone to remind me. Actually, I have it set to tell me when to go get in my bed because I am a normal.
Because you want to go.
I am busy. Totally. And I need accountability pieces, tools that help remind me of what I care about, because life is distracting and it's full of noise, and people that I love and want to talk to and engage with. And I have a lot of responsibilities. I manage 15 people on my team. And I have like a lot going on every day. And at the end of my workday, I want some personal time. And what happens, I see a lot of our busy moms and our busy parents, what happens to them is like the only time they feel like they can carve out for themselves to have extra time is at night. So their bedtime gets pushed later and later and later. And that ends up really sabotaging their fitness goals, and they feel worse and worse. So if we were to apply the all or something mentality to each of the 4 pillars, I would say, set an alarm, try to get in bed 15 minutes earlier and read your book, set a timer on your phone, just see if that helps you sort of start to wind down a little bit sooner.
I love that. And the other thing too, I just want to, acknowledge, Bree, is that, someone could go onto your Instagram account and they see you doing all these workouts and drinking your smoothies and, looking hot and sassy and sexy in your pretty dresses and bikinis and all of that. And they could think, wow, that must be really easy for her. She's just got it down. She knows how to work out. She knows how to eat. She's got it down. I could never be like her, right? That's a really instant assumption that somebody could make. But I love what you just said. You remind yourself to stretch. You remind yourself to get in bed earlier. You're not perfect. None of us are perfect, right? We're human. And you still make time to do all the things. And I'm sure you have days where you don't do all the things. Like you get to bed later than you wanted, or you ate crappy, or whatever the case is, right?
100%.
You're human.
And that's why, like, I got really in touch with this concept that I call Flossom, because
I love this.
I feel like because my tendency, this doesn't go away. Like, no matter what your goal is, and the process of getting to the end of the goal simply sets you up for the next goal. You're never done. Like I posted something on Instagram, this quote from, I want to quote the guy's name correctly. So I'm actually going to open my Instagram right now. Success is never owned. It is rented, and the rent is due every day by Rory.
I love that.
Hayden. And this is such an important message, because when I think about it, like I have to make a decision every day, every week, to cook food, to decide to eat healthy, to exercise, and to make that commitment, to show up for my team, to show up for the people that I love, to reach out to the people that I've decided to be in relationship to talk to myself in a positive way. And when I veer off of that course, it's up to me. It's my responsibility to notice, recognize, be kind to myself, and bring myself back onto the path. The path isn't straight. The path is windy. And
it's all over the place.
That's the thing.
It's a messy journey.
And you continue, that's why I love that quote, because like you continue to pay your dues every day. You continue to do the things that you need to do, and and I think, if you like, I'm going to show up on social media, on my website, in my true self, in my true form. And I think that what you see, what the eye of the beholder, it's like what you see is what you're going to get from me, right? So if what your current focus is on your appearance, you'll notice my appearance. If your focus is on, and that's a great place to start, right? That's where I started. I started worrying about my appearance. And that fortunately led me down the path of caring a lot more about what was inside, because I recognized that how we look and feel is actually a byproduct of how we treat ourselves. And that helped me go to a deeper level. So it's not wrong to care about your appearance. And I still care about my appearance. I take pride in it. It's something that I take a great deal of pride in. And yet I now have a different focus on why I care about my appearance. So if what you see on my social media is my appearance, welcome in. I've got some tools to help you work on your physical body, and they're going to help you also work a little bit more on your inner game as well. And if what you see on my page is stuff about, sleep or mindset, like I've got tools for you there as well. So I just want to welcome people with the 4 pillars of health. And it's not about just one thing. And I feel like, we're all very complex people, and we're all on a journey, and
Absolutely.
just not being so hard on ourselves on that journey, or feeling like you're supposed to be like me. You're supposed to be like you. It's my job to show up authentically for you as who I am. I'm not going to cover myself up or try to hide what I am and who I am. I want to be a real person for you. And I want you to be a real person for you.
Right?
That's it. And like, yes, other people inspire me. They are benchmarks for me in different ways, but I still want to be me, So like, if you see someone out there who inspires you, that's great. But if, I do this thing a lot called a digital detox, where I look at what social media accounts am I following? Is there someone who every time I see them, I just feel bad about myself because of how they're talking, or about how they're posing, or the filters they're using, or I just feel like it's not really very real, or it's not very uplifting or empowering to me. And I also have to take some personal responsibility for my own reaction to that. And at the same time, I can choose to unfollow. You can curate what's around you now a lot better. You're not just, I could have chosen what magazines to buy if I'd had more awareness when I was younger, but there also weren't a lot of choices.
Right?
These days, there's more choices. There's amazing women role models of every creed out there available to us. And we're all so unique, and we're all beautiful in different ways. And
Absolutely.
it's so important to that comparison thing of feeling like you're supposed to be like someone else. It saps your joy. I love Marie Kondo. I'd like to think about Marie Kondo for like your Instagram feed. Only follow the accounts that spark joy. Okay.
Yes.
That's my
Amen
quote.
to that.
Yeah.
Well, I love the quote, comparison is the thief of joy. right? Because it truly is. It's like you start looking at all these, whatever the content is, whether it's an Instagram account, whether it's a blog article, whether it's, media, just regular media. And if you start consuming information that just makes you feel like shit, guess what? You're going to feel like shit. So you need to surround yourself. I think it was Jim Rohn that said, surround yourself with you are the average of the 5 people, right, that you spend the most time with, right? But it's not just people. So it's people, it's content, it's, you can take that out a little bit further. And it's so true. And so we have the opportunity, right, to really shape that for ourselves. And my big thing is making sure that women know that they are heroes. They're not victims. And I like to say that we have to live in a hero mindset. If you want to live your best life, that's really what it's about. And when you take a victim mentality, you just shoot yourself in the foot for so many reasons. And exactly what you said about how when you realized that you had moments where you were comparing yourself or not feeling as positive as you wanted to feel about yourself, you had to make some changes. I think that's really powerful.
So true. And I love what you just said. And there's actually I'm actually drawing it right now because I want to share this with you. There's a psychology model about the victim. It's a triangle. It's called the dreaded drama triangle. And at the apex of the triangle is the victim, right? Mm-hmm. So imagine you've got the victim at the top of the triangle. And what happens why are you a victim? It's because someone or something is a perpetrator. So there's someone to blame for the reason that we are in this victim spot, right? And then What do we need? We need someone to rescue us if we're a victim because there's a perpetrator. Someone has to rescue us. So a lot of people, myself included, have been at some point in our lives stuck in that feedback loop and they've been unable to get out of it.
Oh, yeah.
The beautiful thing that can happen is once you start taking personal responsibility for yourself, your choices, curating what you see, the people around you, all of these things, how your reactions are. You can actually, instead of the victim, become, you said the hero, we would say creator. You become instead the creator, which is much more empowering than the victim, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Because you're now the creator, instead of a perpetrator, you are faced with challenges, right? Life has challenges for you. And since you're the creator of your own destiny, you're going to freaking face these challenges. And sometimes you need a coach. There's not a perpetrator anymore. It's a coach. And that is very empowering mentality because that means that there are people out there that we can reach out to, who can uplift us, who are resources for us. And I just feel like that whole framework is just such a beautiful shift of that victim mentality. And that I want to attribute that to the man who created the empowerment dynamic model, his name is David Emerald. And he took that dreaded drama triangle and flipped it on its head. And that's something that I just find so inspiring. And when I look at my business model and apply that triangle, that new triangle, the empowerment dynamic to it, I see that, I get to be a coach. I get to give people challenges and I get to allow them to be the creator of their own life. And that's a choice that we consciously make every single day. Like, am I the creator today of my destiny? Am I going to face my challenges? Am I going to reach out for help when I need it? Even from myself. Like how can I, in my moment of struggle, support myself? I think we were chatting a little bit before this interview and you said, what is a tool? What was it? What is a tool that women can use for, do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, to get, to stop getting in that comparison feedback loop, right? I mean, it's really easy to say it, right? And we don't want to pay it lip service and be like, oh yeah, because the reality is I get stuck in it almost daily. And I have to remind myself how to get out of it.
I could compare myself. My hair is not as curly as yours. And why is my hair not as curly as yours? Why aren't my cheekbones as wide as hers? Why are my eyebrows not as shaped as hers? Why are my breasts not as big as hers, right? Like, what is wrong with me? And what I do, I have this little hack that I have. So basically, I imagine that my best friend asked me the question about herself, or she comes to me with feels like this. And she comes to me and she's like, this girl, this is how I feel like I just don't measure up to her. I feel like this, I feel like that. I'm struggling with this thing. And I think about what advice I would give her. And I then recognize that that's the advice I need to take for myself, because I know that sometimes when we're stuck in ourself and we're blocked by our fear, because that's what this is all of it is fear. We're fear because we have a deep need for significance, for belonging, for fitting in. And a lot of us, we're just wired to think that we need to be like everybody else in order to fit in. And of course, society gives us these messages all the time. You know, it rewards a typical type of beauty. Like I remember that's how, you know, I was conditioned that way as a child, but it doesn't have to be that way, right? We have the power to change that. And so I just think about, you know, once I've unblocked the fear mechanism and I've allowed myself to get into my heart, which is, you know, we love our friends. We love our best friend. We want to tell her, we want to love her, we want to comfort her. We want to say, you don't need to worry about that. Look at all your amazing qualities. Immediately you go to like the amazing qualities that she has because she's unique. And when you do that for her, you remember, oh, I could do that for myself. I could remember how long and straight and shiny my hair is. And that's great. And her hair is great the way it is. I can look at her and see like she's got these beautiful qualities and I have these other beautiful qualities. And that's great. Like it doesn't have to be like better than, less than. It's just, it is what it is.
Right. No, I think that that's beautiful. And I love that, you know, that comment that you made that we really know in ourselves, right? We have our inner guidance. We just have to listen and we have to figure out how to diminish that fear and figure out where our blocks are so that we can look past it and really follow our intuition and follow our heart. Because the reality is most of the time we know the answers. We know them within ourselves. Sometimes we're just scared to admit or to say it out loud, but it's much easier to, like you said, say that about somebody else and then remind ourselves.
Yeah, I feel like it helps us get out of our own way sometimes because the mind is tough. You know, it's tough to navigate. And I didn't navigate all of my mind stuff by myself. I've had great mentors. I've had great coaches. I've had great therapists. I've had wonderful people who cared about me. And I cared enough about myself to ask for help. So, you know, we can't figure it all out by ourselves. So
You've mentioned a couple of times, and I've heard you talk about this before, you know, about this negative chatter, right? And I think we all have it, whether or not we want to admit it, whether or not people can see it from the outside, right? What has been for you the most influential way that you've quieted that noise? And also, do you still hear it?
Well, I know that the very first way that I handled the negative talk when I first became aware of how much negative self-talk I actually had going on, my mentor at the time gave me this great activity to do where every time I would recognize like a negative thought in my head about myself, self-directed, I wore a rubber band around my wrist and I would just snap it every time that I would hear myself say something negative, which just gave me like a slightly unpleasant sensation that I would then associate with the negative thought about myself. And then I would replace the negative thought with something positive. And, you know, our brain is wired to avoid pain and seek pleasure. So it didn't like the negative snap, right? And now that it was associated with a negative thought, that helped me become more aware of the negative thoughts. And then I just got more and more and more in the habit of saying nice things about myself. It took time and took practice. And I think like what's happened at this point, because this is now maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, I feel like at this point, I mean, sure, I have doubts sometimes and I have fears and I have very human emotions always. But when I catch myself, I just catch myself faster. If there's something that I'm kind of ruminating on or not feeling good about myself, I know there's a root cause. I also do this thing where I'm just constantly aware of the framework that I see life through as something that's under my control. And I can choose to see the good in almost any situation, right? And like if I'm worried about how someone's responding or not responding to me or how someone's treating me, I like to reframe that as an opportunity to learn something about the way that I am in relationship to others when it's a difficult situation. Like, how can I grow in this situation? What can I learn from this situation? And meditation has been a huge help for me because as our mind and our monkey mind, all that chatter goes on, you know, meditating has been incredibly valuable to me to just as a practice to just kind of, it's like, why do I train my body? It's so that I am physically strong and capable of handling life's demands. You know, I love being strong and fit. I'm very able and agile and able to I walk to the grocery store with a backpack and 2 grocery bags. I walk home, you know, I'm able to do all those things that make me feel very confident and powerful. And mentally, that's what meditation does for me as well. It gives me a resilience, a baseline that when I start to get all like freaked out or anxious about something, I have that mental stamina to handle it, to be able to remember, oh, what can I be grateful for in this situation? What is the opportunity here for? And that takes time and work, but that's the path, basically. That was my path.
No, I agree. It's interesting. I always poo-pooed meditation. I thought it was witchcraft and voodoo and dumb and, any negative word that you could associate with it. And I thought, oh, I can never do that. I can't sit still. I can't be quiet. And then about maybe a little less than a year ago, I was introduced to guided meditation through the Calm app. And I really I'm like, okay, well, I'll try it out. Fine. I'll try it out, 30-day free trial. And I really just started getting into it. And almost every morning I'll take the 10 minutes and I'll do the guided meditation. And sometimes I listen to it. Sometimes I'll just do music. Sometimes I'll do nothing. But I find that the days when I don't do it, I really feel off kilter and just not quite myself. So like you said, meditation, like everything else, just requires practice and commitment and building a habit.
Yes.
And it's so powerful for our whole, mental and physical well-being.
And what's funny to me is like the fact that you just shared that, thank you for sharing that. You thought meditation was so hokey and weird. And I think you're not alone in that. I felt like that for a long time. I think a lot of us feel that way. And I think it's just because the idea of getting quiet and being alone with ourselves is a little bit intimidating sometimes. Yeah, sure. We don't want to have to face the things that we might say to ourselves, or the fact that we might fail at something that seems a little bit strange. And I'll tell you, like, I learned so much from my friend, Emily Fletcher. She's the creator of Ziva meditation. And Ziva, she gave me like a way to meditate that I don't have to like sit with my legs crossed and my fingers in the lotus position and like oming and like close my eyes. And that's fine if that's how you do it, but you don't have to quiet your mind. The mind is wired to think. That's what it does. Right. Instead, I have an anchor point for my thoughts, or I have like, I have something that I'm anchored to, and that helps me like actually float and be calm and be in that state of perfect awareness and also perfect peace. And that's kind of like where I like want to get to. And I'll even stop, like today I have something I was stressing about, like seriously stressing about. And I was caught myself and I was like, I'm going to sit down and meditate for 5 minutes. And it was like so good. And, having the awareness to do that in the time of stress is really like, there's no one alive who's not going to ever have a negative thought about themselves or a stressful moment or anxiety or some fear. Like this is the human condition, Right. So the trick is being aware enough to notice that, and then resourcing yourself with a tool or a person, whatever it is that can help you in that moment. And that's, part of why I love podcasts like this, because you and I are both sharing tools that we've used and things that have worked for us so that they're accessible to anyone who's listening.
And I'm going to circle back to what you said in the beginning, all or something, right? And in that moment of stress that you had earlier today, where you just needed to slow down and take 5 minutes to do your meditation, you didn't need to commit to going to a practice that would take an hour and get into a new outfit and do all the things. You could just sit down, address that, and find that inner peace and that self-awareness, right? All or something. I love that.
And move right on with my day.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, before you tell everybody where they can find you and how they can connect with you further, what I love to ask my guests, I didn't prep you on this one, so I'm excited to hear your reaction, but I want to know, what is something that makes you feel sassy and fun?
Shoes. I mean, Come on. I mean,
girl, you were talking my language.
My closet. Oh my gosh. And remember, I'm 43. I have been acquiring things slowly, but now I don't buy anything anymore unless I'm in love with it. It's like relationships, like I don't have casual sex with my shoes, right? Like there's nothing like, and I don't buy like something doesn't spark joy. Thank you, Marie Kondo. Once again, I really look for the things that spark joy. And when I get to dress, because a lot of my life is right now I'm sitting here talking to you in this podcast in sweats with a sports bra on because I just did a workout and I'm in the middle of my day. I'm a trainer and this is what I do. So I live a lot of the time barefoot or in sneakers. Right. And I'm just like, I absolutely love the opportunities to wear like a fun shoe, put together a fun outfit, express myself creatively in that way as well.
Oh, I love it. That's so fun. My mom, for the last several years, has gotten me a shoe of the day calendar. It's like a page day.
That's so
oh my gosh, you need to look for this. It's the best calendar because there are all these, some of them are, really ancient shoes and antique and that sort of thing. But some of them are just so out there and fun. And
I'm writing it down. Thank you.
It's my, it's like my thing that I look forward to every morning is flipping the calendar to see, ooh, what's today's shoe?
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's
it's so fun. It's super fun. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Well, where can everybody connect with you? How can they find you? If they don't already know who you are, where can they be in touch?
Oh my gosh. So first, let me start with a gift. If you would like to try my free 30-day challenge, it sends you 15-minute video every day. So it's that all or something thing. And it's home workouts. You don't have to use any equipment. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to take off your pajamas if you don't want to. Your kids can join in.
Awesome.
You just sign up at makefatcrychallenge.com. And what's the catch? The catch is that the video expires every 24 hours so that I can keep you on track, baby.
Ooh, I like it.
So there's that. And of course, you can find me on thebettyrocker.com, where you can find all of my free recipes, many more workouts to try, lots of great health and fitness information to help you live your healthy lifestyle of blossom. And, my Instagram's The Betty Rocker. You can find me on Facebook, same thing. And love to connect with you anywhere that you are. Myself and my amazing team of Betty Rocker coaches we answer everybody. So we're always here for you.
Well, and one of the things that has stood out to me probably the most, Bree, about your message is not only that you are a hard worker and you're committed to your craft and you're committed to your audience and you are committed to your health and to your own journey, but you exude love and you lead with love and your energy is so loving and positive. And that is, that speaks to me in my soul and my spirit and something that I aim to do as well. It's not the case with everybody. And just even reading the words from, your blog posts or from one of your Instagram posts, the love literally jumps off the screen. And I know that that's authentically who you are. And I think that's such a beautiful gift that you're giving and what you're doing. And clearly you're following your passion and doing what makes you feel good inside. So I'm so thankful for you being here, for sharing, for just giving all the love and the positive energy that you do, because I think it's beautiful. And I think you are making a huge impact on so many people. And that to me that's what it's all about. So thank you so much for being here.
I received that. And thank you so much for creating an opportunity for us to connect and to connect with your tribe. And really, really appreciated it.
Awesome. Well, it's great to see you live and in person. And thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of Sassy AFTV. Thank you all for being here. We hope to see you soon. Bye. One of my favorite takeaways from this conversation was Bree's overall philosophy of choosing good in any situation and personal accountability. Living a healthy lifestyle isn't about sacrifice and deprivation. It's about choosing yourself to be the creator of your life. And when you face challenges, finding ways to lift yourself up and rise above. And I love the idea of celebrating who we are exactly as we are, embracing the Flossom mantra. Thanks again for being here and tuning in for another episode of Sassy AFTV. It would mean the world to me if you would leave a comment and take a screenshot to share it with your tribe on Instagram or Facebook. Don't forget to tag me at Sassy Healthy Fit. Then make sure to head over to sassyhealthy.fit and sign up for our mailing list so you always know the latest and greatest in sassy fun. See you next time.